Well, this approach is very important for us because we consider that we have many things to do for the integration of people in the work environment, and especially in ordinary companies. We believe, and now you'll see it, that it makes no sense to take disabled people into ghettos so that they can work from their homes or at different projects. This is a different project, and Luis Fernando from SIC magazine and the organizer of Securmatica, and 31 years now, right? Of Securmatica. So there are old events. Well, these are the founding fathers. He would be the moderator. He will introduce everybody in the round table, and I'll be here as another participant on behalf of RootedCON. Okay, thank you, Luis. Hello, Luis. Well, it's great to be here. We feel really comfortable because we've been with you for many years, and we have been promoting this initiative. 1 year ago, we were here and we had the honor of being acknowledged with that award because of being so veteran, so to speak. And I think that, well, the Rooted it's a great conference. When we were awarded 1 year ago, as I was saying, the award has an amount of money, and by then we said loud that we wanted to use it for a quite singular initiative. And this is the one that brings us here today. And this is that among the group of initiatives that we have for training, there was one that took cybersecurity into account. This initiative is GoodJob Foundation that had been working for some years, but now it wants to grow old, and it wants to grow old with some stakeholders that support the organization. They are here. Let me introduce them. We have the host company, well, the host company between inverted commas. This is Rooted with Román. There's an entity, supporting entity, that it's one of the main institutions of our country in cybersecurity, that is INCIBE. Although the representative hasn't come along yet, but I guess that he or she is about to arrive. We have some private companies that have a high load of expertise in the world of security, either in service supply or technology. And these companies are Telefónica, Atos, Westcon. Welcome to all the representatives, by the way. Now we'll explain everybody's roles. But mainly, I would like to give the floor to César, who is the general manager of GoodJob Foundation. But I would like to say that I love cinema, and I usually go to the cinema. And some days ago, I went to watch a movie, and I knew it was interesting. It's a French movie that is called Specials. And it is a movie about an initiative, about an association in today's Paris that tries to move on, and in the middle of a world of misunderstanding where she doesn't feel very well supported, well, they fight every single day for things to move on. So this story, this script, has a clear link. Like, for example, with GoodJob Foundation that does a great job that sometimes is not very well seen, but now that it is really touching our feelings in the world of cybersecurity, I'm sure that there will be a more empathy, and we will ask you for some collaboration. I'm sure that you will be willing to help us. So, César, the floor is yours. Here you have the presentation, and we will pay attention to what you have to say. Thank you. Okay, so can you hear me? Great. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, first of all, I would like to say thank you to Rooted. Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate them on this meeting, and after that, I would like to say thank you for finding some time for this project, and they are the key promoters of this project. So, I would like to say this first. Out of every people that is sitting down here, we are the least known ones, the Gucchy Foundation. I would like to make an introduction of who we are. We are a non-profit organization. We deal with the integration of disabled people in the labor world. We have 6 years of age. We're not an assistance company. We do not have daily care centers, but we are highly focused on work and disability. We believe a lot on the fact that disabled people need to work at the ordinary stuff, and for that there are people that have no contact with ordinary companies, and we try to have some resources that facilitate the shortage that they could have when accessing this job positions. The truth is that they are not working. So we want to be facilitators with our specialty in work and disabled people. So we have the company on the one side, we have the company on the other side, and we have the people on the other side. We have to train people, have to accompany them, training, and so on and so forth, in order to solve the situation that we can find. We have a special working center, in this case, that we used to hire people and to make them work within the working centers of companies to give visibility, in order to facilitate all this that process and to have that responsibility, so that it can facilitate all the situation, so that these people end up at the ordinary stuff of the companies. We don't want to have a very big structure, but we want people to go in and out, and this is what we deal with. So having said this, so that it can be well understood, I'd like to say, well, what's the project? The project is a project that is aimed at giving access to the labor world, ordinary labor world, I mean, companies that are not special working centers, to disabled people in the cybersecurity world. This is what we want. The genesis has been explained by Luis. It came from Rooted. Both Rooted and Magazine Z put its eyes on the GoodJob initiative as an NGO, as a non-profit organization, sorry, that were doing things, interesting things, and started to put things in common. And we think that linking variables, employment, and cybersecurity, and disability, and community, there are things that make a lot of sense, and many common denominators. So having said this, we started technically to talk to INCIBE, and we, well, I say to talk to INCIBE, and now we are, it's all of us here right now. Welcome, Miguel Ángel. When INCIBE knew about this initiative, they said, well, this is in line with what we're doing. We want to be there when we want to lead to. So they are part of the project in this sense. So from there on, we started to work. We launched a project that has these variables. I would tell you, why cybersecurity and why disabled people? Well, in the disabled people group, for you to have an idea, there's a 25% of unemployment, and at the ordinary job labor world, sorry, there's a 13%. Disabilities are, I mean, things happen as we keep on moving in our lives and as we keep on working. So it's very easy to see that either with us or people in our environment. So companies have to have a positive response toward that. The active population, I mean, out of every 100 person, there are 35 people. Out of 100 people in labor age, 35 are either looking for a job or working, but there are 75 of the regular population. So the supply and demand do not match. The current job positions are far away from the characteristics of the disabled people from a training point of view. So everything is being left aside. So we need to act. And this is why we have a project that puts the focus on cybersecurity and disability. So why on cybersecurity? Well, because there are two very powerful reasons that people speak about. Cybersecurity has many subtasks. Cybersecurity tasks have many subtasks that let many people with different characteristics putting the focus on something and with a very specific training and not a very long training have the possibility of getting into this labor market, and from there on to keep on working, and they will hold a position, a job position. That's the first reason. The second reason is that the hacker community has some characteristics that I'm discovering during last times, and there are things that are related to the fact of knowledge, sharing knowledge, diversity, and understanding diversity. So diversity, disability, and so on and so forth. These two concepts will be very well understood. This is what we think, and this is why we are developing such a project with cybersecurity and disability. I would tell you, what is this project about? We will get into further detail later on, but this is a project that will last for 1 year. It will be a project that aims at having 100 people, handicapped people in the labor market. We will launch the initiative in Madrid and León because these are two cities that, because of their social and demographic characteristics, fit with other many villages and cities, and it will be easier to extrapolate that example. And the life cycle will be more or less 1 year. There will be a selection process during about 4 or 5 weeks. There will be an initial training for these 100 people of about 5 weeks, general cybersecurity, perimetral cybersecurity, and well, these are two technologies that are highly agreed with the companies, and maybe there will be people that will move to more ambitious trainings, and we will launch them too, but many of them will be able to start working. So this is not a training, this is not a training initiative, this is a labor integration path. So there are people that could be working in Telefónica, Athos, and Westcon 2 months later. These are 3 companies that have taken an important leap. So this is basically what the project is about, generally speaking, on the go. So we will get into further detail during the speech. It is more or less about, or in order to structure all the stages, we have the selection process where people that don't have a technology background, a powerful technological background, but the ones that can have digital skills, but coming from other situations or other professions have digital skills, especially with 70% of determination in order to, well, I want to get into this, I think I can, and I'm really interested in it. This is key. And from there on, and with this selection process, they will get into this training that I've mentioned before. They will be hired for 9 months by GoodJob, where there will be follow-up in coordination with the HR departments, and there will be some kind of tutelage, so that after 9 months' time, they move to the ordinary staff, and they will be integrated workers. This is what we want for this first edition in a permanent way. So who are the stakeholders of the Include project? Well, the stakeholders, I think that this is a very good example of what's the most important thing for us. Participants. This is not about moving papers. It's not about having something to be proud of because we've tried. It's not about filling up our social responsibility portfolios or our activity as a foundation. This is about making 100 disabled people end up at ordinary staff and ordinary companies during this first year. So this is why they're at the center. And I would say that on the top you can see 3 organizations that are the ones that have put this initiative on the table in order to develop it. They are not more important than the others, because if you see on the left, you can see the includer companies that we will mention in a bit. The includer companies are the companies that will be bold enough to believe in this that we are saying. Secondly, they will train people, they will participate in the training, not only approving the contents, but their professionals will teach people in the classrooms, and thirdly, they will hire them. I don't know what else can we ask for. So it is very important. There will be collaboration companies that will have the level of collaboration because they won't be able to hire so many people. They won't be able to be that so involved, but they will be well welcomed, of course. Public authorities, of course. INCIBE represents the power of the public administration, but public services, public working services in Madrid and Leon have already seen the project, and they've seen that they will participate and they will put everything they can so that this project can move on. We will address people that will get from the public working service will receive a note that will tell them about working at something where they have no training at all. This cybersecurity, it is a concept that is very well managed here, but most of the people are not very familiar with it. So in order to be there and not to be there in a good way, we need the public authorities in order to try to touch these keys. And they have committed themselves, so although they are not here, we are also thankful for that. The SIG magazine is there as it had fallen from the sky. So I won't speak about their contribution because it has been very clear. And the community, the hacker community, well, this is a project. Well, it's not an individual project. It's not, I mean, this is a collaboration project. This is a joint project. And we see that the hacker community, with its spontaneity and with the expertise they have, they need to accompany them. One of the goals that we had for today's speech is that you understand and you join the fact that among the initiatives that we'll have in the classrooms, we've created something that is called one hacker every day, so that a person from the hacker community can close every single day during the last 15 or 20 minutes. This will be during 5 or 6 weeks. Every day there will be somebody to tell in an inspiring way to all the participants at the point of view of cybersecurity. So, on the other hand, there's another platform that is called Space, and we would like the users and the participants to be in direct touch. We would like you to help them, and for this we need the hacker community. It's an essential part of this, and in the end we will tell you how to join the initiative. And just to summarize, what do we want to accomplish during this first year? So about the included companies, well, their commitments, we've mentioned that before. It's about participating in the training to pass the contents that, well, this already has been done. They have defined what are the technologies that they think that could fit for these people, and to commit to hiring 10 handicapped people. This is great, and this is very interesting. So as I was telling you, these are the companies that have been here. So we have Westcon, we have different companies, Athos. So this is what we call includer companies. And last but not least, what do we want? What is the goal that we need, that we have for this year? So these are the ones that we see here. So we need to have these people here, and what we have to try is to draw positive conclusions, especially constructive conclusions for later editions. So the training that we've foreseen, is it the real training? Is it the right training? Are we teaching it in the right way? So the potential demand, the handicapped people, how they are, what are the characteristics, what needs could they have from a technology point of view or from an accessibility point of view? Because there's a group of people, for example, the visually impaired people or visually and hearing impaired people that could have some problems, so maybe our apps should include something different. So these are things that we should analyze and we should learn during the first year in order to have a much bigger experience and with a higher social impact for the second year and a much more accurate initiative. And well, this is include program. This is us basically. The companies that are here or that are represented here that wants to join us as an included company, as a collaboration company. Please don't be shy. Sit down with them. We'll explain it to you. We'll try to customize the collaboration as much as we can. And the rest, well, volunteers. I've told you about 3 aspects of the volunteers, but I'm sure that somebody will think about something else, and it will be very well welcomed. If you want to collaborate on this, you have an email there where you can address any kind of email, and we will sit down with you so that you can be part of this. And participants, this is what I was telling you, the participants that are here that are disabled that want to participate in the program, or if you have an acquaintance or something that you think that doesn't have any training, any previous training, or doesn't have any expertise, but has a good attitude, he has seen you working on this, and it's not very clear for him how to join it. We are a channel for that. We are a platform for that, and this is what we want. We want to please encourage them to get in touch with us, and let's see what we can do. Okay, so that's all by my side. Thank you very much. And now we're going to speak a little bit about the project. Thank you very much, César. Román, just one question. You are the co-founder of a company that is Rooted, and it clearly tries to convey knowledge to third parties. So what would be the best virtues or the strengths between Rooted and GoodJob initiative? Well, what a difficult question. I mean, from the fact of helping, I think that the strength that Rooted has is the people that we have in front of you, to have that open culture. And almost everybody here is committed with good ideas. Of course, you have your own ideas, but I think that's one of the key points. We can act as a vehicle in order to put the audience in touch with people that are sitting down here in order to try to mitigate the disability in the labor world. If we are able to be that collaboration vehicle, that would be great. And what about the deadlines in terms of training? Do you think that it is difficult to accomplish it or not? Well, we have a very aggressive training plan, 5 weeks' time, and we are, well, César says this, we are speaking about a gardener that wants to go to the cyber practice. We're not speaking about anybody that has engineering expertise. We have to think about somebody that will have 5 weeks to learn about general things and 2 very specific technologies so that they can be in front of a platform solving cases of 0 level. Don't think about anything difficult, but well, it's quite ambitious, but if they really want to do it, they will be able to do it. You need to be committed to that. Okay, so let's give the floor to INCIBE. Welcome, Miguel Ángel. So apart from your commitment towards Spanish society and the protection of the different actors, citizens and SMEs, do you have an initiative that is called Cyber Collaborator? So I think that you are quite familiar with the things that are being said here. So INCIBE and the Secretary, how do they consider these initiatives? So first of all, sorry for being late. Thanks for counting on us. César was saying that at the beginning when they went to our institute to explain the initiative, well, the consideration was very positive because it really fits with our mission, so that Spain is a cyber safer country. We always say that we would like to be one of the 5 safest countries from a cybersecurity point of view in the world, and this can't be done only through the public authorities and the administration, but as always happens, it needs to count on the private sector and with the third sector and with citizens, of course, with society, because cybersecurity is a problem that affects us all. I always say so when I have the opportunity to talk at these events. Almost 95% of the problems that happen that have to do with cybersecurity events are because of human factors. So no matter how robust a system is, because it always depends on a person that at the worst time touches the key that he or she didn't have to touch. So this has to do with a little bit with this. For us, it is very important. It's very important to have a PPP. It's something that is included at the National Cybersecurity Strategy that was presented last year. There will be a new forum that will be launched during next weeks or months that is aimed at looking for synergies between the public and the private sector in order to improve cybersecurity. So this initiative is totally in line with this strategy that we're following. And apart from that, it's very important because we are speaking about creating talent in cybersecurity. Some weeks ago, we had a meeting with some stakeholders that deal with research, and they told us that in the years to come on a global scale will witness more than 3 million positions in terms of cybersecurity that won't be covered. Other ones talked about 2 million. Anyway, the talent will be a need. The need of talent is a need now, and it will be a need in the sector. So this initiative is part of the initiatives that we are developing in order to create talent, to capture talent, and to make talent grow in the sector. So that's paramount for us. And on the other hand, about your previous question, to us, it's key that this capillarity includes sectors that have been mentioned by César during his presentation, because as he was saying at the beginning, this is something where we have to be all involved. And it's important that companies are not only at the beginning of the process, but also at the end. And they should see how important this is, not only for their own business, so to speak, but also at a social level. And this is a component that drew our attention, and this is why we joined this project. We wanted to grow and wanted to expand to other parts and other activities. I think that the talent in the cybersecurity world is a need that we'll have to work on for the years to come in a very important way. And these initiatives, apart from creating these resources, these human resources, so to speak, apart from creating that talent, will give visibility for other stakeholders. Okay, thank you very much. I will ask the other 3 speakers, because now, as César said, are the ones that have taken a leap. So in the HR world, do you consider that we have enough people? What type of rotation we have, and so on and so forth? So the first question is, why did you take that leap? Well, I'm Susana Torres from Matos. We've taken the leap because we really think that the different capabilities help us grow. Integration has to be real. It can't be just about giving money. It has to be a responsibility that belongs to all of us. We've all felt different sometimes, and we've all said, well, they're not understanding me. But it's true that that people with different skills have room, of course, and they can help us grow as persons. If I'm a little bit selfish, it will help my company grow, because now many soft skills are being considered, and many skills aimed at relating to other people to be closer, and this will be really helpful. It will help my company grow. As you were saying, there's a social aspect in terms of a much higher unemployment, there's a talent war looking for technological profiles, but it's true that this is our responsibility of us all. We need to take advantage of the others' skills, and we need to grow with these skills. This is my point of view from Athos. I don't know if you want to say something else. Well, of course, Telefónica is our flagship, of course. Well, I'm Yolanda Hernández. I work at HR department in Telefónica. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. And I would like to tell you that, well, we've been committed with the integration for many years. It's not something new. Telefónica has developed different policies in terms of diversity and integration. But why did we take the leap in this project? Because it combined many needs that we had. First need, obviously, the fact of not being away from society. I mean, the companies and society can go through different paths. We need to work closely. We are showing this with the integration matters. There are disabled people that need to be at the companies as the others, and there's a challenge. And secondly, Telefónica bets on cybersecurity growth, and we don't have talent that let us cover all the positions we have, so it was really attractive to have such a project that combined that social path that we had been working at with the fact of having people that could be highly involved with a very high level of motivation, and in the future they could have the possibility of covering more skilled positions, growing from scratch, growing with us. Okay, great. So give us a hint, please. What's your specific activity? You're a multinational company, and we are the cybersecurity supplier, and we're the leader on a national level, and the demand that we have, not only in terms of products but also in terms of staff, in order to cope with this business, is very high. So our colleague is highly committed, and we took the leap to work with César and Román because of the need of having that talent that we needed, and we are really overwhelmed because we're finding something that goes much further than talent, something that has to do with the insertion, something that has to do with covering what customers ask you for. We are finding people like you and some employees that are here with us. I have customers and suppliers. They're discovering something very important in these people. César was saying that many of the disabilities happen as our life goes on, and this makes you think. And the point is that our environment is enriching a lot, seeing that that overcoming capacity, seeing that attitude. Well, you speak about attitude. Just imagine that something happens and you lose your hands. And this person is working as any other colleague. That image of having a handless person working as you and overcoming all these difficulties, that's attitude. And the surrounding environment is taking note of that and being much more motivated. This is what we are talking about. So I like this a lot. Román has just told me that you will pay these people very good. Is it true or not? It's true. It's true. Yeah, they will. They will. We will pay them as anybody else. Of course. Yeah, they will. So I would like to make a remark because, well, we have it's something that is related to something that you've said, every company there's a legal obligation of having disabled people among their staff. So you can give money to the organizations. It's like, well, you give me money and I will do good things with it. Or you can buy goods and supplies to an employment center. And fortunately, they exist, and they've improved the quality of life of disabled people. But one of the main differences is the level of involvement that everybody has. There are people that are experts in cybersecurity, Román, INCIBE, etc. There are people that know about employment and disability, and after that we have the employers. But the money that this creates, well, it makes funding, but companies invest on paying people that go there to work. They've been trained and they're going to work on the project since they get in touch with them at their working center. So the great commitment is not, I give the money to somebody that will do it well. No, the great commitment is, well, I'll have disabled people in my company that, for example, are gardeners, as Román has said, that are going to deal with cybersecurity tasks. They won't be the experts in cybersecurity, at least at the beginning, but they will be able to have this work introduction so that, well, let's help them all so that things that could happen could make their dreams come true. When Enrique has talked about this, well, it's a person that we know. When a person without hands, because something has happened, is working and is visible as anybody else, as any other colleague, and lives with you in any way, the internal message that is being launched to everybody, not to the working environment, but to the society as a whole, is amazingly positive. So this intangible aspect of the project is highly representative, and I think that the position of the companies in getting involved to make this real and not to give money to a third party, this is a merit that we need to know. To me, it is something important. I just wanted to underline this. Susana, well, I was talking about this person, and we want to keep on hiring people because we believe in the project. And what the customer sees is exactly the same service. It's exactly the same service.
Client perceives or feels that the service is exactly the same, and the benefit is ours. It is an internal benefit. So, Susana, you've been in HR for a long time now. Would you please point out at any uniqueness or particular aspect of cyber experts and professionals, any unique characteristic, any added value? Well, the value that I see in the hacking community is the value of sharing. You have found a shared space, and you organize events of this kind to come together, to share information. You share a lot of information that is clearly seen. So you share information, experiences, and that sharing and that accepting, taking in the other, even before having seen the other person, makes it fantastic and unique characteristic when it comes to talking and applying, implementing inclusion. At this point in time, we are assessing people skills. At the end of the day, skills are proven on a day-to-day basis, no matter whether you're at home, whether you are at the work center, employment center, whether you have hands or not. At the end of the day, what makes us all equal when it comes to having a job opportunity. In cybersecurity, this is even more seen than in the rest of the fields, because in cybersecurity, what actually counts is what you know and what you do. So cybersecurity would break away with the barrier for disabled people, for disabilities. It wouldn't really make any difference whether you are on a wheelchair or you are visually challenged when it comes to doing your job. I may share with you what I mentioned in Valencia when INCIBE invited us. You are asking me about any uniqueness in the hacking community. So please raise your hand, those of you who used to log on to the BBS. I was 3.2 public enemy BBS on Cibonet. Once I logged into BBS in Zaragoza. At 3 a.m., the C shop of BBS was open. The admin did that for me. For those of you who were born in the 21st century, you used to log into the internet through the modem, through making a telephone call. All right, the admin opened up a chat asking me what I was doing, what I was not doing, and the only thing that I could notice is that this person was typing a bit slowly. So we became friends, so we set up a network of nodes known as BBNet. It was widespread in Catalonia, and Fernando was the head of that node network. So I've never ever, I haven't met Fernando in person, and once I visited him, and Fernando was 18 years old, and after a motorbike accident, he could not move his hands or his legs, and he used to type like this, moving his hands like that and using some sticks. I was 17 or 18 years old. At that time, that day, I learned the threshold. The threshold is about what you can do and you cannot do. When I hear people saying me, you cannot do that, it always comes to mind Fernando moving his wrist and typing. So this is for you to understand why this project is extremely important. Can you continue doing hacking with no hands, with no eyesight? We can do things very powerful because we are powerful people. We know we are powerful through the transgression and the hacking and the breaking that we do. And this is the spirit of this community, and that's why this community is relevant for this project. So you have a set of initiatives aimed at strengthening talent, training, skills. Out of that accumulated value, how can that be, how can this contribute to this initiative, this accumulated know-how? How can this contribute to this initiative? Every summer, we organize cybersecurity bootcamp for policymakers, for law enforcement agencies, for legal experts, and as well as experts from CERTs. So we have lots of training initiatives, also knowledge initiatives. And as someone mentioned before, the thing is about seeing it as something normal. The capacity to generate talent in the cybersecurity field. When you mentioned the modem, I could remember I went back to Atari Spectrum 48Ks. So this sector, this field lends us overcomes challenges. It was last year when I heard in Colombia speaker saying that the hacking community were the Jedi and the cyber criminals were, well, other things. That was a meaningful or relevant analogy. Well, what he meant by that was about sharing knowledge, how the hacking community shares its knowledge. We try to share the knowledge coming from all the activities that we make. So in Spain, citizens and companies account for nearly everyone. So in this initiative, our approach is exactly the same as we were talking about any other type of target or public. The idea is to generate capability and to apply all that knowledge, and to give training and to share that knowledge in the same fashion that we would do it if we were giving out this training to judges. Surely judges will use the knowledge for some applications, and whereas other people joining companies will apply that knowledge to the needs of the companies they work for. As it's been said before, what is important is not whether this person has a disability or not, but whether we all together can help this person acquire the skills and knowledge that this person needs to perform his job. But there is some kind of prejudice, like this person cannot make it. So the idea is about demolishing that barrier. Anyone can work in the field of cybersecurity, and this is not an exclusive effort of INCIBE, it's the effort of everyone, and we need to have citizens' collaboration. For this project or for any other project, disability is not a barrier. Actually, may be an additional incentive just to prove that there are no barriers, rather than sharing that knowledge, and I'm sure that all of the stakeholders do that. It's more about eliminating barriers and prejudices about the people who would actually be the protagonists of this initiative. And now I'd like to go back to something that was mentioned in Cesar's presentation. That is to say, so what we can offer to this group of people. So who would like to give a hand to this project in terms of, I don't know. All right, okay. I make a note of that. Well, there are two other rooms following us on the streaming. We cannot see them, so probably they also would like to volunteer. Are there any questions? Well, we may have to kind of, but if you have questions, you may use this mic. When you talk about breaching the gap of prejudices, what do you mean? What do you mean in the corporate world? Well, I use that expression myself. Well, I'm sure there are people who can give you a better explanation, but when I said that, I meant that oftentimes not only in companies, but in society in general, people may think that people with disabilities do not have the required skills to perform a job. And sometimes that fear of thinking that this person cannot perform a job because it's handless. So thinking or pre-thinking that a person with no hands cannot become a hacker, that is the type of prejudice that we mean. So people who are behind companies that may have that prejudice, that's a barrier they have, a barrier that needs to be worked on. Yeah, we may all think that something cannot be done up until it is done. At the end of the day, someone said before that the threshold for what can be done and cannot be done is really, really high, higher than we feel. I am the General Director of a multinational company. And in my multinational company, there are many decision makers. There are lots of prejudices. There is lots of sense of urgency. But as our project is evolving and moving on, We noticed that when we started with our project, we just wanted to invite people to go to the first level of support. And our challenge, our objective now is to set up a red team. So we are rediscovering ourselves along the way. We are fully involved. We are fully convinced. And we knew that we were fully convinced, we were fully in, but now we can see that we can do more and more. We as companies, governments, large organizations, we also need to help break those glass ceilings and to look at it with naturalness. So companies win, you win, and clients win from this. So Susanna, algorithms, do they have a bias, disability bias at all? Well, it depends. At the end of the day, it is true to say that there are many, lots of machine learning unsupervised that could end up in this type of situation. We, from Athos, one of the controls that we implement is controls to avoid any type of bias, because at the end of the day, it's more people who put bias when we see something different in a person versus a computer. If we didn't see that person with that disability, probably we would value this person more. And the key is what we mentioned before. At this point in time, we are assessing or valuing people depending on their skills instead of image or you name it, as it used to be the case. From that mindset, there cannot be, there is no room for bias. So we started talking about gender equality. So sometimes there is some reluctances to some profiles. I embarked myself in this project. I knew César before, but I could not really cover the vacancies that we had at Telefonica. I could not cover them with people with disabilities. Therefore, I needed to find alternatives. This project is very powerful because it will allow us to meet multiple requirements simultaneously. One of them being breaking the glass ceiling, then fulfilling the law on disabilities, coming out with alternatives to overcome that, and we just will be for the benefit of all of us. Well, there are prejudices regarding disability, but recognizing that explicitly is never done. I've never found anyone admitting that, acknowledging that. In the job market, a person with disability has serious entry barriers just because of that. And if the person has mental disability, some people may be afraid of them, and that could be, or for instance, a person with poor social interaction or social skills. Concept of disability is associated with not performing well. This is a difficult task, and a person with a disability cannot do that. It is as basic as this. So this project tells us we are going to take a gardener. Well, apologies for using the gardener position. So a gardener that can work in the field of cybersecurity, and the message that we will be sending out, when successful, we will be multiplying this message by 15 times. We will say what we are saying is not that complicated. This is about having different stakeholders, getting into agreement, and then be ready for that and do it. Then we will see how many people want to work in that, what we need to do. But if it did not exist, if there were no prejudices, there would not, people with disabilities would not be unemployed. But people with disabilities have difficulties to feel that they can do things, because the message they often received is, don't you worry, you will get a pension, society will help you out. And at the end of the day, we are talking about normalizing things. And say, well, it is, yeah, it's about seeing that there is no complexity. And well, there are barriers. Even if they are not recognized, there are barriers, the same as there are barriers and prejudices in other fields. We are all aware of it. There are very many studies how that statistically prove that beautiful people have more convincing power than those who are not as beautiful. So we have to be successful in not applying prejudices, and we have to tell people that when you are working in a normal environment, in a normal company, and you work people with different capabilities, different capacities, that's it, everything runs well. And you know that I'm a bit blunt. Nietzsche said that we have to make do philosophy with a hammer. So inclusion and integration has to be put into people's head by hitting their head. And well, we have to prove that through doing. We are nearly finishing. Are there any other questions? Any questions? Well, I also would like to ask you about other type of prejudice. We talked about companies, we talked about us. We live in a society where there are biases, but well, sometimes these gardeners we've been referring to may feel that they are not capable of becoming a cybersecurity experts. Have you found that before? Yeah, we are aware of it, fully aware of it. Training or give training to a person who knows nothing about cybersecurity so that they end up in that position in 5 weeks is extremely aggressive. But it is also part of the process. They will have to fully commit themselves to the task. And well, many people will be left behind, will lag behind. But we are resolute, we are determined, we want to inspire them as much as possible. We want to cancel the syndrome of the imposter, because we all know that they will create professionals of level 0, level 1. We will not go crazy, we will not go mad. We will be doing something very specific, but after those weeks there is 1 year training, and the idea is to end up with a group of hackers or red teamers participating in CTFs so that they enter the competition, so that we can really see the evolution, the progression, exactly in the same situation, an equal footing than any other person. So I'm not saying that they are not able to do it. So someone who's I've been in this field for 7 years, and then if someone says, look, I trained you as a lawyer, but if someone goes and says, well, do not do if I've been working as a gardener, like kind of hiding from society, I guess that they will need lots of motivation. But sometimes motivation is more difficult than training. Well, your question is very opportune. This is one of the key factors for success. When we talked about public services of employment, we will be targeting people who never thought about it. They don't even know whether that they can work in the field of cybersecurity. We would like to share with them that this is a real future possibility, that we will take charge of it to give them the necessary training, and we will ensure that they have the necessary skills, not to become lawyers, but to do what we expect them to do. And then we will take care of facilitating the process. We all have a part to play. And I would like to ask your help for that. It's very important that we communicate this reality. We sat down with employment services, they liked it, they say, well, we will put you in a different channel, you have our full support. So that technical side is already done. And we have also hired a communication agency so that they tell us how we can reach out to these people. We sat down with people with disabilities to find out what are the motivations, but we need more help. Therefore, you, in so much as you pass on these ideas, and when the process initiative will be on, first of all, we will let you know. You will also hear some radio ads along with the process. So please do not think that you cannot be done, but please be channels to communicate that. And to communicate that this is doable. If you are a gardener, it is doable that you can work in cybersecurity, because there are people there who are committed to give you the necessary training so that you end up doing that job. I fully agree with everything that has been said here, and we from Athos, we have we have that commitment. That's why HR is committed to that. We want to help them overcome the prejudices they may have, and by the time people will be in the company, they will receive necessary support to find their room within the in the field of cybersecurity. We from the corporate world, we will offer that support. When you talk about disability, there are lots of different kinds of disabilities. So the physical side is the most difficult, the easiest to cover. But what happens with the rest of disabilities? Have you thought about how to tackle that? We are talking about kind of private tuition. I don't think it is as easy or as clear. Yes, you are right. That is another big challenge. First of all, we will see who comes to us, and the first years we will have to kind of strengthen them. Well, the starting point is there are no filters, for any disabilities. Well, the physical ones are easier to identify. In terms of mental disability, identifying that and the tools used for that are more complex. We know that. Well, we have a support team at the GoodJob Foundation. So when you talked about César, I very much appreciate what you said. So Mónica Núñez, Beatriz Dueña, Damiña Carmona are people from GoodJob Foundation. They are around here, they are with us today, and they are the heart of foundation of this initiative. And this personalization and that kind of awareness is something that has to be, we have to be consistent with that. So there are people who have Asperger, for instance, Asperger. So they have a special capacity. They have kind of higher value for their disease. This is about employment knowledge. But let us be honest, we will not be able to take in or work with any kind of disability. We will have to be selective. It is not that we are going to select the best technologically speaking, but those who have the most compatible skills. Those who abandon the program may be frustrated, and then we will also find throughout the process that potential mistakes from us. And then we will also be facing cybersecurity tools. Perhaps they will not be fully adapted. So another learning that we will be having this year is where to insert intermediary filters in cybersecurity tools so that different kinds of disabilities can work with them. And we need your help for those filters and for those tools. In Westcon, we did not only had experience with physical disabilities, but also with mental disability. What has been key in all that has been the support we got from GoodJob as to, in terms of how to foster these people, how to support them. The help of GoodJob has been key to us, to our HR department, to people who work with them, and for us this is an open, ongoing process, learning process that is helping us to see things in a different fashion. So the support of GoodJob is just key. So we are very close to finishing. So the motto or the claim of GoodJob is we are similar, we are different. I very much like it. So now I'd like you to share with us in a minute why it would be good. It is cool to be special. In cybersecurity, being special is cool because there is nothing more important in the world than being special and being different. When you are special, you provide a different viewpoint, and that is enriching. So you contribute something that others do not contribute, and that is highly enriching because we are all different. And as such, we all need to accept ourselves. It is a pleasure being special. And you have to be aware how much you are special, and you have to give value to that. I like it, and I feel very lucky of having lots of special people around me. Well, nothing left for me. You said it all. As Román said, being special is about having a different way of looking at things, different way of contributing. And we will learn a lot from these people participating in this project. We will learn from the capacity to better themselves, and then their capacity to help others and to being helped. And that is a huge contribution for everyone. Well, let's see whether Rooted fully supports this project. So big applause for everyone who has taken the lead. So now we give the floor to our next speakers. Thank you very much to all the participants. Now we break. We have a break.